get this. We're diving deep today into AI and this crazy idea that it might be like right on the verge of being smarter than humans.
Oh, yeah, it's a wild concept.
I mean, think about it. It's a journey that's like taken us from, Deep Blue winning at chess to AlphaGo just like dominating the game of Go. And now we're like at the edge of something even bigger, DeepSeek R1.
Definitely groundbreaking stuff.
Yeah, and that article you sent me, I gotta say, it really got me thinking.
Which part in particular?
Especially the bit about this DeepSeek model maybe learning and like reasoning without humans telling it what to do.
It's a game changer, if it's true, for sure.
So, okay, let's like break this down, this whole evolution from just brute force computing to something that's almost like intuitive. The article talked about Deep Blue and AlphaGo and how they were different. I thought that was interesting.
It's a really important difference. Deep Blue is impressive, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it basically just won by crunching numbers like crazy.
Oh, so just like calculating every single move?
Exactly every single possible move in chess.
Oh, wow.
Which is a lot, but still possible. Go, though, Go is on a whole other level.
It is way more complex.
Way more.
The article mentions this thing state space to measure this.
Right. State space is like, think of it as all the different variations possible in a game.
Okay, so all the different ways a game can play out.
Exactly. Chess has a state space of 10 to the power of 47, which is massive.
Huge.
But Go has a state space of 10 to the power of 170.
Whoa.
More possible board configurations than atoms in the universe.
That's insane.
It is brute force calculation would never work with Go.
Right, it just wouldn't be possible.
No way. So AlphaGo had to move beyond human methods.
So how do they even approach it?
Well, they use deep learning and reinforcement learning.
Okay.
AlphaGo studied tons of human games.
Oh, so it learned from us at first.
Right. And then it played against itself over and over and over, refining its strategies.
Wow, so it was constantly improving.
Exactly. Always getting better.
And then they made AlphaGo Zero.
That's where things get really interesting.
Yeah, that blew my mind.
They got rid of all human input, completely just gave it the rules of Go and let it play.
No human guidance at all.
Nope. And it was a huge moment when it became superhuman all on its own.
So to really push the limits, AI can't just copy us.
Right. It has to go beyond human knowledge and experience.
It needs to figure things out for itself.
Exactly. And that brings us to ChatGPT, which the article calls a blurry JPEG of the web.
A blurry JPEG. I like that.
Right. It's another example of AI developing intelligence, but in a totally different way.
Okay, so ChatGPT, it was trained on tons of text, right?
Mountains of it.
And basically, it just predicts what the next word is going to be.
That's the basic idea. But how does that turn into intelligence?
Yeah, that's what I don't get.
It's about finding the patterns and connections in all that data.
So like making sense of it all.
Exactly. The article gives this example where ChatGPT correctly predicted the murderer in a mystery novel.
Wait, just from the text?
Just from reading the text, it says that by compressing all that information, it starts to understand things, even surprise us.
That's wild. But is there a limit to how much it can learn just from predicting words?
Good question. Especially when it comes to like reasoning and problem solving.
Yeah, like real thinking.
And that highlights a big challenge in AI right now. Even with all the advances in computing power, the amount of good training data is becoming a problem.
Oh, so we're running out of good stuff to feed it.
Kind of. And then there's the whole human feedback thing,
All right, like with ChatGPT, they use reinforcement learning from human feedback, RLHF.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The article compares it to a student trying to become better than their teacher.
Interesting.
At some point, the student can only get so good because the teacher doesn't know anymore.
Makes sense.
And there's this great analogy from Andrej Karpathy.
Oh, yeah, I love his work.
He compares learning through imitation, like with pre-training and fine-tuning, to a kid learning by copying experts. But true reinforcement learning, like AlphaGo Zero used, is more like a kid learning through trial and error.
So figuring things out on their own.
Right. It's about reaching goals, not just pleasing humans.
And that's what makes DeepSeek R1 so different.
Exactly. It claims to have found a whole new way of reasoning that doesn't need human feedback at all.
Wow. So no human input at all.
This is like another AlphaGo Zero moment, a huge shift.
It's really learning on its own.
Instead of us teaching it, it's using self-play and objective evaluation.
So that's where GRPO comes in, Group Relative Policy Optimization.
Right.
Can you explain that a little more? Like, how does GRPO actually work?
Okay, imagine you give the model a simple math problem, like 2 + 3 = 5.
Okay.
It comes up with a bunch of possible answers, some with step-by-step solutions and some without.
Okay.
GRPO rewards the answers that show a clear thought process, even if they all get the right answer.
So it's not just about getting the right answer, it's about how it gets there.
Exactly. We've given it the tools for reasoning and then step back to let it figure things out.
That's incredible. And this approach is different from companies like Suno and Recraft.
Right. They're more focused on making AI align with human tastes, as the article points out.
So like making music we like or art that appeals to us.
Yeah, instead of pushing AI to find new forms of creativity or reasoning.
But isn't aligning with human taste easier?
It is easier to measure, and it avoids competing directly on performance benchmarks.
So it's less risky.
But it could also limit AI's ability to explore truly new concepts, things we don't even understand yet.
It's like we're telling AI to be a copycat instead of a true innovator.
It's a trade-off for sure. But before we get into that, let's address some of the skepticism around DeepSeek R1.
Yeah, the article mentions some misunderstandings.
Yeah, it's important to clear those up. DeepSeek is not collecting user data to train R1.
So they're not spying on us.
No, its power comes from the RL process, not from stealing from other AI models.
So they're not copying other people's work.
And like that analogy they used about asking an Uber passenger what brand of tires their car has.
Oh yeah, I like that one.
These large language models don't know who trained them or what hardware they were trained on.
It's just not relevant to them.
Exactly. So giving them human-like motivations or knowledge is misleading.
This whole idea of AI breaking free from human feedback, it's exciting and a little scary, you know?
It's a big deal, for sure. It makes you think about what it means for humanity.
Yeah, big questions.
Definitely. But before we go there, there's another point from the article I think we should talk about. It talks about DeepSeek and how it might be able to find like scientific or mathematical truths that we humans just can't grasp.
Whoa, that's like some next level stuff.
Right, like imagine if we create something that can unlock secrets of the universe that we've been trying to figure out for centuries.
It's pretty mind-blowing.
It makes you question what it even means to be intelligent, you know?
Yeah.
We've always thought of ourselves as like the smartest things around.
At the top of the food chain, right?
Exactly. But what happens when our own creations get smarter than us?
Does that mean like humans become useless?
Well, it's possible, but maybe not. Think about it. What if instead of replacing us, AI becomes like a partner?
So like working together.
Yeah, collaborating. Imagine AI helping us solve climate change.
That would be incredible.
Or finding cures for diseases we haven't been able to crack.
Yeah. But how do we make sure that AI has the same goals as us? You know?
That's the big question.
Especially when you're talking about things like morals and the value of human life.
It's a huge ethical challenge, for sure. I mean, think about autonomous weapons systems.
No, yeah, that's a scary thought.
If we give AI the power to decide who lives and who dies, how do we know it'll make the right decisions?
It's a tough one.
It's like opening Pandora's box. The potential benefits are amazing, but the risks are huge too.
We need to be careful.
We need a global conversation about this. Like everyone needs to be involved to figure out the implications and make sure we're developing AI responsibly.
And on that note, the article talks about DeepSeek's decision to make R1 open source.
Yeah, that's a bold move.
I mean, most companies are keeping their AI models secret, right?
Like OpenAI, for example, they're very secretive.
But DeepSeek is just putting it all out there.
Making R1 open source means any researcher in the world can study it, understand how it works, and even build on it.
So it's like democratizing AI, everyone has access?
Exactly. But doesn't that also make it more dangerous? Like, what if someone uses it for bad stuff?
Yeah, that's a valid point. Any powerful technology can be misused.
Right. But DeepSeek believes that the benefits of open collaboration outweigh the risks.
So they're betting on transparency.
They think that being open encourages responsible development and prevents any one group from having too much control.
It's an interesting debate for sure, but let's get back to this idea of AI surpassing human capabilities. Like, what would that actually look like in the real world?
Well, the article gives us some hints. R1 can already write complex code and solve tough math problems.
Wow.
Which means it could potentially automate jobs that currently require human experts.
So are we talking about robots taking our jobs?
It's definitely a possibility.
That's a little unsettling.
But not necessarily a bad thing. Think of it as a shift in the skills that are most valuable.
So like a new industrial revolution.
Exactly. Just like the Industrial Revolution changed the way we worked. The AI revolution will too.
So we need to adapt, learn new things, focus on what humans are still good at.
That's a big part of it.
Yeah.
We also need to get better at critical thinking.
Oh, yeah. Being able to tell what's real and what's fake, understanding how AI works and what it can't do.
Exactly. We need to become smarter about how we use AI.
Like informed consumers of information.
That's a great way to put it. This isn't just about technology. It's about how we as a society decide to use it.
Do we embrace it or fear it?
The choices we make today will determine what the future looks like.
No pressure, right?
It's a lot of responsibility, but we can't just sit back and watch this happen. We need to be actively involved in shaping AI development.
Make sure it's used for good.
Exactly. And that requires more than just technical skills. We need to understand human values and the complex relationship between technology and society.
Man, this deep dive has been quite the journey. We started talking about AI and ended up discussing the fate of humanity.
It's true, these deep dives often take us to some unexpected places.
It's like we're expanding our minds, exploring new ideas.
And they always leave us with more questions than answers.
But that's what makes it so interesting, right?
It keeps us curious, keeps us learning, keeps us pushing forward.
Exactly. And speaking of pushing forward, the article ends with some pretty thought-provoking questions for us to consider.
It asks us to imagine if models like R1 could lead to the discovery of new scientific or mathematical truths that are way beyond anything we can currently understand.
Like, could AI unlock those secrets for us, and what would that mean for humanity?
Big questions.
Huge. What would it mean for how we see ourselves, our place in the universe?
It's a lot to think about.
We'll have to keep exploring these ideas as AI continues to evolve.
It's a future full of potential, both good and bad. And it's up to us to decide what role we want to play in shaping it.
That's a powerful thought.
Definitely. But before we wrap up, I wanted to go back to something that really stuck with me from the article.
Yeah, that analogy about AI, like breaking free.
Yeah.
You know, it's like AI is finally unshackled from us and can reach its full potential without our limitations holding it back.
It's a powerful image, for sure. Like a whole new era of intelligence.
We always thought intelligence was a human thing, right? Something only we could do.
Like it's what makes us special.
Yeah, but what if we're wrong? What if intelligence is much bigger than that?
Like something that can exist beyond humans.
It's a wild thought.
DeepSeek R1 is like a challenge to that idea, you know? If a machine can learn and reason without us, if it can solve problems and come up with solutions we never even thought of.
That's like, what does that even mean for intelligence itself?
Right, like are we even defining it correctly?
It's almost like we're about to discover a whole new type of intelligence.
One that's not just different from ours, but maybe even better in some ways.
That's kind of scary, actually.
Yeah. It is both exciting and unsettling at the same time. Like it opens up these incredible possibilities, but it also makes you question our place in the universe.
Yeah, like what happens to humans if machines become smarter than us?
Some people think it's inevitable that AI will surpass human intelligence and eventually take over.
Like a sci-fi movie.
It could happen, but I don't think it's a guarantee. Remember, AI is a tool,
Right.
and like any tool, it can be used for good or bad.
So it's not about whether AI will become smarter, it's about how we use it.
Exactly. We need to be aware of the risks, of course.
Yeah.
But we also need to be open to the possibilities.
AI could help us solve so many problems.
Climate change, poverty, disease, the list goes on.
But we have to be responsible.
Absolutely. We have to guide its development, make sure it benefits everyone.
It's a huge responsibility.
But it's one we can't ignore. We need to start thinking now about the kind of future we want with AI.
And work together to make it happen.
Exactly. It's not just up to scientists and engineers either.
Yeah.
Everyone has a role to play.
This has been like one of our most intense deep dives ever. It's really made me think.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride.
I feel like I've learned so much, but I still have so many questions.
That's the thing about knowledge, right? The more you learn, the more you realize you don't know.
It's like this never-ending journey.
Exactly. Always something new to discover.
So what's one question that you're still thinking about after reading this article?
That's a good one. I keep going back to that idea of AI finding truths that we humans can't even comprehend, you know?
Yeah, like things that are just too complex for our brains.
What if there are these fundamental laws of the universe, mathematical equations or scientific principles that are just beyond our grasp?
And AI could unlock them for us.
It's a mind-blowing thought. And if that happens, what does it mean for us?
For everything we know about ourselves and the universe.
It's a question I'll definitely be wrestling with for a while.
Me too. It's like the ultimate mystery.
A mystery that AI might be the key to solving.
Wow. Well, this has been an amazing conversation. So much to think about.
Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure to explore these ideas with you.
And to all our listeners out there, keep those brains buzzing, keep exploring, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.